What is going on, guys? It is your boy Mainomai here, and today I'm bringing you a brand new FM21 tactic that you're going to want to try if you're looking to dominate the opposition both in and out of possession on this year's game. If that sounds like something that you want to try and achieve this year, guys, then this tactic is definitely for you. So let's go. So before we take a real sort of in-depth and detailed look at the tactic and the makeup of it, I just wanted to give you a bit of a backstory as to how it came about. So at the start of this year's cycle, I was kind of stuck as to what type of challenge I wanted to take on FM21 whilst I was waiting for my custom database for the Red Bull Revolution series that you can now see on my channel. And long story short, I just decided that I wanted to have a go at returning AC Milan back to the very top of European football. And to do that, I was going to sort of tweak or play with the footballing philosophy and tactics that were deployed by the managers back then that were in charge of Milan between sort of 2005 2008, namely sort of Carlo Ancelotti with his famous sort of diamond and Christmas tree formations. So I wanted to take those and put my own kind of twist on it, really, and that is how I came up with this tactic. Now, as you can see, it was relatively successful, guys, winning the treble in my very first season, making very few signings, spending very little money. As we see here, win percentage of over 70%, which isn't bad. Few draws in there, but it's not too bad for the first season. Won the title with a record equaling points tally. Scored 138 goals in 64 games overall. Only conceded 57, which is less than a goal a game, which I was really happy with. Positive goal difference of 81. So there you have the sort of top line numbers. I think that's enough bragging for now, guys. So we will take a look at the tactic in greater detail and sort of explain the thought process behind it, really. So then, guys, here is your very first look at the Flawless Diamond tactic. Now, before we get into too much detail, I just wanted to discuss the sort of overarching principles of the tactic with you. Now, if any of you have seen my previous videos on my back attack tactic, you will know that I think possession is most of the time overrated. But let's put that to one side for a moment, as this tactic is focused on meaningful possession. And what I mean by that is, guys, we won't just keep the ball for the sake of keeping the ball. We are always looking to pass forwards. As you can see here, this is a custom vertical tiki-taka, so we're looking to play through the lines. We're not looking to just sit on the ball, play 5-10 yard passes, sideways and backwards. We look to hurt the opposition every time we have the ball. We want to dominate the opposition both on and off the ball. When we have the ball, we're looking to move the ball quickly into wide areas, back out again, switches of play, playing through our register, really. Out of possession, if we do give the ball away, what we're looking to do is suffocate the opposition of any meaningful possession, turn the ball over quickly, and then slot back into that rhythm of playing meaningful killer passes to our front three. Now, another quick mention of my back attack tactic. In that formation, we very much rely on creativity coming from our wing backs. Whereas with this tactic, where it's very different, is that actually we have creativity from all over the pitch. You can see here there's kind of a midfield unit of sort of 5 or 6 players here, and we're looking to dominate possession in every area of the field, but particularly in midfield. In terms of our goal output, guys, we are going to rely quite heavily on our strikers, but you'll see here our shadow striker, our attacking midfielder, basically that role can be interchangeable, but that player in that kind of pocket, that number 10, is also going to chip in with a fair few goals and plenty of assists as well. Finally, what's really important to mention is that literally everything will go through our register. Kind of a bit of a tribute to the AC Milan side that obviously had Pirlo in it. On this save, I had Sandro Tonali, who's the perfect register in my opinion. And we look to distribute the ball through him at all times. So rather than playing with a half-back, as we do with my back attack tactic, we will look to play with a register and be more possession focused. Rather than having a truly defensive minded player in that holding role, we're going to look to employ the register role that will basically seek to dominate the game from deep. So now let's take a look at what we're trying to achieve when we are in possession of the ball then, guys. So first of all, it's really important to mention that we're looking to play with a higher tempo. As you can see here, we're going to distribute the ball with intensity, looking to unsettle the opposition. We're going to be more urgent in our approach, And basically we're going to allow the opposition no time to get set into their shape and then get into a situation where we're facing a low block and we're just having to pass sideways and backwards, kind of patiently waiting for an opening. That is not what we're looking to achieve here. So a high tempo is very important. We are looking to pass slightly shorter, and we obviously, the reasoning behind that is because we obviously want to retain possession and not give it away cheaply, but at the same time we are looking to be decisive. It isn't just going to be 5-yard passes, left and right. So we are going to play out of the back here. As you can see, we're looking to play out of the defence. We are going to overlap left and right because obviously there isn't much width in the sort of midfield and forward lines. We are looking to use our wing backs to create that width and create those overloads to hopefully draw the defence out wide to allow space for our attacking trio, who are relatively narrow, although our overall attacking width is quite wide. We are looking to pass the ball into space, so it's important to have strikers who can exploit that space. In terms of the rest of the instructions when we're in possession, we're obviously looking to be more expressive because we're looking to be superior on the ball to the opposition, and we back our ability really to work an opening and rely on the individual ability of our players to create space for themselves or for others. And finally, we're going to look to be very patient when we get to the edge of the opposition box. Although we want to break through the lines quickly, we don't want to just take the first shooting opportunity that comes our way. We do want to engineer high quality, high percentage chances really of scoring a goal. That's essentially what we're trying to achieve in the final third. So now let's take a quick look at what we're looking to achieve in transition situations, guys. So when we lose the ball, we're not going to regroup and give the opposition time to use the ball at all. We are going to counter press and try and win the ball back as soon as we physically can to catch the opposition on the back foot and increase our chances really of being able to find a killer pass when we do turn the ball back over, because we are so hard at the pitch. Now, when we win the ball back, again, we're not going to give the opposition time to get set. We are going to look to counter straight away and look to engineer a goal scoring opportunity at the earliest opportunity really, guys. In terms of distribution of the ball, as I mentioned before, the register is key to the success of this overall tactic. So we are going to play through him at all times. So we're going to distribute to the playmaker and go from there. So in my team, for example, Sandro Tonali saw a lot of possession and was either distributing the ball left and right and through the lines, or he would end up picking out a key, 40-yard pass in behind for the strikers, which is, brilliant really. We're looking to have that kind of playmaker in the deep role, a bit like Pirlo did really, throughout his career, but most notably at AC Milan and Juventus. So when we aren't in possession of the ball, we are going to look to defend higher up the pitch, guys, with an offside trap being deployed as well to catch any runners that are trying to get in behind our defence. Although if the ball does go in behind, we would look to rely on our sweeper keeper to come out and clear his lines. Or actually a bit more than that really, rather than just smashing it into row Z, we'd actually look for him to, if he can, try and restart an attacking move for ourselves really and retain possession and pick out someone with a pass, but obviously that's not always feasible. We are going to engage higher up the pitch in an attacking sense as well, so our forward line will step up and engage the opposition higher up the pitch. We're going to try and prevent the opposition goalkeeper from distributing the ball in a short fashion to allow the opposition to build an attack. We don't want that, so we're going to try and encourage him to either make a mistake if he does insist on distributing the ball in a short fashion, or alternatively he will then panic and look to knock the ball long, which will give us an opportunity then to turn the ball over in a 50-50 situation. So essentially, guys, the kind of overarching defensive principle is to starve the opposition of any meaningful possession and therefore limit the number of occasions that they can actually create a decent goal scoring opportunity. If they are going to score against us, they're going to have to work, first of all, really hard for it, and secondly, they are probably going to have to take any opportunities they get on the counter, because they should be few and far between. So then, guys, it's now time for us to take a look at the all-important individual player roles and instructions, starting with our sweeper keeper, who is obviously going to be charged with sweeping up any through balls that come in behind our defensive line But when he sweeps them up, he isn't just going to hoof the ball into row Z. He's actually going to look to set up our own counter attacks by hopefully picking out a pass out wide to our wing backs, or maybe even into midfield to get us playing through our register and basically constructing our own attacking move. Now, as you can see here, in terms of instructions, he has been asked to take more risks, which I believe is standard when you ask your sweeper keeper to play on a support duty. Now we move on to our ball playing defenders. Now this tactic is symmetrical, so both ball playing defenders have the same instructions and duty, so they're both on a defend duty. Yeah, essentially we're looking for our defenders to be able to construct attacking moves themselves and play out of the back. But defensively, we want them to be in line with each other. We don't want one of them dropping deep, because otherwise that will ruin our offside trap. So they're both on the defend duty. No one's on cover. They want to stay nice and high. And then it's important they have the recovery pace to drop in if a ball goes in behind and our sweeper keeper isn't able to come and sweep it. Although 9 times out of 10, we would look for our keeper to have a high starting position and basically eliminate that threat really. In terms of the ball playing defenders in this particular system, we're not asking for them to do too much with the ball when they do have it. Mainly we're after them to just pick out one of the key playmakers in the system really, namely the register, which has been Sandro Tonali in this formation. We're not asking too much. We don't want defence splitting passes, all the time, but the occasional one is obviously going to be hugely beneficial to us. In terms of instructions, they take more risks, which you'd expect with a ball playing defender, and hold position I think is just a very standard one that the ball playing defenders have anyway, so nothing too technical there. So we now move on to our wing backs, which are again symmetrical guys, so the instructions are the same on both sides. Now we are looking to deploy our wing backs in a support duty, which is slightly different, because rather than just trying to attack the opposition and get to the byline to put a cross in, what we're actually asking our wing backs to do is get involved in the attack and occasionally look to pick out a diagonal through ball and be very much involved in the play, which in previous tactics that I've made, we have the wing back on an attack duty where their sole purpose is to literally just bomb forward, hit the byline and get a cross in to the box. But we're actually looking for a bit more than that from our wing backs on this support duty and in this system. Defensively, obviously they need to operate as fullbacks, so they do need to sort of shuttle back and win the ball when they possibly can, but they do receive some support from the sort of the Mazzalas in midfield really, when we do get hit on the break, so we will obviously come on to that in a second. In terms of instructions, we are looking for our wing backs to shoot less often, run wide with the ball when they get it, and obviously get further forward to support the attack, as they're the only bit of width that we really have in this tactic, as we play with 2 up top who are sort of fairly narrow, although will sort of run the channels at times as well. But we're definitely looking for our wing backs to overlap and create 2v1 situations in the wide areas on both sides really, and really kind of pegging back and causing the opposition problems defensively. Coming on to one of the most important roles in this tactic then, here we have the register in holding midfield. Now, essentially what we're looking for here is a really aggressive deep line playmaker, as the description here suggests. So we're obviously a possession-based team with this setup, so we're very much looking for our register to dictate the play, but actually do a bit more than that. We really want him to be a creative threat, and what I mean by that is, he's not just going to be playing those 5-10 yard sideways backwards passes. He is going to really look to hurt the opposition as soon as he spots the run of a striker going in behind. Any of that front three, when they are making those runs into channels or peeling off the shoulder of the last man, the register is the man who, when he has the ball, is going to look to pick out those players with a lovely 40-50 yard pass in behind, very much like Pirlo did back in his prime. Moving on to the Mazzala roles now, guys, and obviously once again this is a symmetrical formation, so we have 2 Mazzalas both on support duties, both with the same instructions. You're obviously welcome to tweak these as you wish if you do download a tactic for yourself. The tactic will of course be available in the description below, and you'll be able to download it and sort of play with it for yourself and tweak it where you see fit. So with a support duty, we're looking for the Mazzalas to really bring balance to the midfield. So they're going to occupy the kind of half spaces, and they're going to be important when the wing-backs bomb forward and get beyond the midfield and even sometimes beyond the forward line. The Mazzala's is just going to fill those half spaces for us nicely and do their defending really hard at the pitch. In terms of instructions then, guys, we're looking for our midfielders to shoot less often, and again that just ties into the overall philosophy of the team in terms of trying to work a high quality goal scoring opportunity. We're not just going to take the first chance that comes to us. You can of course take that instruction off if you have a midfielder that has really good long shots, for example. I know that for instance Hakan Calhanoglu in the Milan side has amazing long shots, so I'd be tempted to take that instruction off if he was on the pitch. But we're looking for our Mazzalas to get further forward, roam from their position, and also move into and occupy the channels, as I mentioned previously. So we're now coming on to the business end of the pitch, if you will then, guys, and first of all we're going to take a look at the number 10 role, which in this system is going to be a shadow striker. Now personally I like the shadow striker role because they're not only responsible for linking the play between midfield and attack, but also they'll find themselves getting beyond the two strikers into the box, and we'll see some goal scoring opportunities themselves, and actually over the course of the season should chip in with a fair few goals themselves, as well as hopefully a hatful of assists. Now, in terms of instructions, what we're looking for is for this player to take more risks, dribble more, get further forward, and move into channels. Now, what I would say is that if the player that you've decided to put in the number 10 spot isn't particularly mobile, then you will probably want to change that role, because you won't want that type of player moving into the wide areas. Basically, you'd want them to stay fairly central so that they can link the play in central areas and their lack of pace isn't really exposed. So I'd probably then consider either changing the role to whichever one you prefer out of the advanced midfielder roles, or I would have a little play around here with the instructions to see if you can prevent the player from getting into those wide areas. Now, regarding the strikers, I've personally found this system works best with two advanced forwards, and that is simply because, well, really it's in the nature of the sort of description of the role, really. So their primary duty is to be the focal point of the attack, and they're required to both score and create goals for each other. Now I think in a perfect strike partnership up top, that's exactly what you want, guys. You want players that do have an eye for a pass, as well as the ability to score themselves. And I think when you throw that shadow striker into the mix as well, you've truly got a front three that are, you know, dynamic and dangerous, because they do have the technical ability to find a teammate if they aren't in a position to score themselves, really. So we just basically want it to be raining goals in the final third. We want each of those players in that area to be more than capable of putting the ball in the back of the net, as most of our goals will come from this area of the pitch. In terms of instructions, they're very standard, guys. Get further forward, move into channels. It's obviously important if you're playing with two up top that they can work the channels, because we don't have an awful lot of width in that front line, so the only true width in the team comes from the wing backs. Therefore, at times one of the strikers is going to be required to run the channels. So yeah, it's important that you have a fairly mobile strike force. Now, I found that Rafael Leao was perfect in this system. Although his finishing isn't amazing, he's not the most deadly striker or the most clinical striker. He overall had some really good attributes to play in this role. Look how pacey he is. He's powerful, 6'2" as well, decent in the air. He just had a bit of it all, guys. Now, obviously, it says here he's an inside forward by trade, but I found playing him as an advanced forward worked really well when he wasn't up there on his own and he had someone else in support. Now, if we look at Leao's goal return for us, I mean, 32 goals in 65 appearances. If he was a lone front man, that probably, I mean, it's decent, but it wouldn't quite be enough for my liking. However, when you factor in the goal scoring exploits of this young man, Lorenzo Colombo, who we have to bear in mind when I brought him into the team he was in the youth setup, really, in the development centre, so there was no guarantee that he was going to step up to the mark, but he managed 22 goals in 36 appearances as well. It just makes you wonder, if you had two elite strikers, how well this tactic would perform for you, and maybe that's something that I need to look into if I am to revisit the tactic in the future. So then, hopefully I haven't talked for too long on this one, guys, but I do hope that I have covered enough detail for those of you who are interested in the thought process behind the tactic and how it is designed to function. I appreciate that's not for everyone, and some people might just want to download the tactic quickly themselves and give it a go. That's also fine, not a problem at all. So I will of course make the tactic downloadable and available to you guys. A link will be in the description below, so go ahead and check that out and give it a download. Let me know in the comments if you're going to give the tactic a try, and please do stay in touch to let me know how you get on with it and how it performs for you. If you have enjoyed the video, guys, I'd really appreciate it if you would smash that like button for me to let me know. If you aren't already subscribed, you know what to do, guys. Hit that sub button for me and turn notifications on so that you don't miss any future videos of mine. Finally though, guys, thanks very much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Cheers.